It's time for Q&A in the Kitchen. It's a podcast and YouTube series where tattoo artists and piercer talk about some of the more common questions that people ask that collect tattoos and piercings. Brought to you in part by Skin Kitchen Tattoo in the Axiom Body Piercing Studio. Today on the panel, the usual crew, the motley crew, the evil crew, the good crew, the solid crew, I don't know what other kind of.
You said solid, not salad, right?
Yeah, solid.
Okay, but I mean, I like salad.
No. Salad's good.
Yeah.
I don't touch it.
It's good to have roughage.
Yeah, it depends on the dressing, though.
What are you, more an oily dressing or more of a creamy dressing?
I like to kind of switch back and forth. I like Russian.
Yeah.
Like the Russian style dressing occasionally because it's got that tang to it. But I always like blue cheese.
See, when I was a kid, I got stuck on Italian dressing, like oily Italian.
Oily Italian.
And I just freaking completely blew it out. I can't even look at it now.
We couldn't get my kid to eat salad forever.
Really?
And then we eventually got him to. And he would take each piece of lettuce or carrot and individually dip them into the dressing and eat them one at a time.
Hey, man.
That was the only way I could get him to do it.
It's getting in there, you know?
Yeah, it worked.
Well, I'm sure that everybody tuned in to know about our eating habits.
Salad preferences.
But we're going to talk about today is tattoo and piercing trends that we would like to see come back from the past.
Yeah.
Things, and I don't know if we're going to talk about things we'd like to go away or not. I don't know. It's kind of negative, but we'll maybe brush on that.
We might dabble.
So I'll start it off. One of the things I would like to see come back is maybe not Taz, but a Taz-like character that has the diversity and the the flexibility and easiness to switch into various different roles. Like you used to have like the Taz the fireman, Taz the cop, Taz, and it was
beer
always
mug, riding a surfboard,
yep, and it was always interesting to me to see how many different types of Tazes people could come up with.
People did get pretty creative, I guess, with that, but yeah, man, like I don't even know if kids would even know who the Tasmanian Devil is now. You know,
probably not.
He was, I don't know, he wasn't really violent. But he was like this aggressive, scary guy. Yeah. So I could see somebody getting upset and kind of getting those kind of putting those away. But but yeah, he was one of my favorites, and he was like the little. Who was the little Martian guy on Flintstones?
Oh. No, the Flintstones was the other dude.
What was his name?
He had a weird name.
Yeah.
But it was like he was one of my favorite characters. But he was just kind of like a little, that's the way Tasmanian Devil was. Like, there wasn't just a Tasmanian Devil cartoon.
Nope.
So that was part of the reason I liked him, because they kind of just dribbled him in here and there.
Yeah, what was the Martian's name?
Marvin.
The one.
Oh, yeah, the other one.
Dum.
It was something like Quant, it's like
it's really strange.
All right, if anybody knows the name of the little Martian guy on the Flintstones that used to pop in, he has little wings coming off his head, right?
Little antennas.
And he would float around, I believe. Put it in the comments. That would be fun. But yeah, Taz, it's interesting to hear a piercer say that, because I don't know many tattooers that would say that.
Well, I know you guys got sick of doing them, but I mean, it's like one of those things. It's an iconic part of the rebound or the rebirth of tattooing, that most of these guys are running around getting these Tazes.
It does definitely kind of like the thorn armband or a barber. Yeah. It really does mark kind of a point in tattoo history or human history, I guess. Yeah. Because people just do not get them anymore at all.
There you go, kids. Go out and get one.
And really, like back in the day, we used to do like Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, all the Looney Tunes.
Mickey Mouse, even like Garfield. And, you would do these like Daffy Duck and, Mighty Mouse, all these little characters. And people just do not really get them anymore. I have one client that we're doing a sleeve that's like Cartoon Network sleeve. Yeah. And what's something laboratory?
Dexter's Laboratory.
Yeah. Now, like the sleeve I'm doing includes several characters from that. I've never even seen it.
Really?
You're missing out.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty good show.
Yeah,
it was.
And he's getting this whole sleeve done of his favorite, cartoon people, and every single one of them, I've really never seen it.
So it's basically like kind of like me dating somebody in their 20s.
Yeah, and having
like
no
cultural
them getting no references at all. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
kind of like
those cartoons and stuff that they grew up with are their Bugs Bunny and Tom and Jerry.
I guess that's
you know.
true. I think it's funny, because like I was saying, they wouldn't even know who. Hey, there he is. He's got little antenna. That's the guy.
The Great Gazoo.
The Great
Gazoo.
That's it. That's fun.
So that is the guy. But who was I thinking about that had like he's got little wings that kind of come off?
I don't remember.
I don't remember one with wings on his head.
Yeah, he had like these.
Well, there was Marvin the Martian. Mork and Minnie
Nanu.
came off of that whole thing too. He said that he loosely based some of that stuff off of him.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know what.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't. But there's not this like this. But part of it, I think, at least in our studio, what I've noticed is people don't get small tattoos anymore.
No.
People don't get little bangers really. Every now and then, you might have a older person coming in with their child, and they've got a few tattoos, and they might grab another little one or have one touched up just to kind of get stitched a little bit to get but they don't want any more. Yeah. I don't want to look like you.
One and done.
But I think they're fine. Yeah. But yeah, man, it's completely just a different gear people are in now.
A lot of it. Our studio, I think, is a little different because we do so much custom work, and
Yeah, I mean,
it gets to where a lot of people don't want to sit and wait a week or however long you booked out, a month, 2 months for a small little banger.
Yeah, I guess that makes a point. Usually people that want to get one of those little things like that. They don't want to, they just want to get in, get out kind of deal. So maybe that's why we don't see as much of it. Maybe a lot of people are getting it, but I don't see the pictures of it, I guess why would a lot of artists post? I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe it is going on. If any tattoo artists watch the show, let me know. Are you doing these little cartoons?
Oh, that's that's a gremlin, right?
That's
on Looney Tunes.
Yeah,
okay.
And it's a gremlin, isn't it?
Yeah, he's some sort of magical little guy.
Yeah, because it's like a World War II era.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And supposedly he's from, he comes and he wrecks the airplane.
Like my first thought was Foo Fighter, but it's not. It's there's a name for that.
It's Gremlin.
Is it just Gremlin?
Yeah, that's where that whole thing was based off of. The movies, everything was this mythical.
He'd screw with your plane and make it crash or something like during the war.
Yeah.
I don't know the whole backstory. I'm sure there might be a connection to Japanese culture. I'm unsure. I've never really had the time or the inclination to find out.
And now that you've got a lot more adult animation, just a lot more animation, period. Yeah. Than we did back in just Looney Tune days. Yeah. Now there's so much more done with animation just in little cartoons with, even Japanimation, a lot of that stuff that's more adult geared. I have done sleeves that involve that kind of cartoons.
Huge.
Yeah. But not the classic Looney Tune stuff. But that'd be kind of fun for it to come back. But there's no way it really would. I think. There's just. Of course, there could be like this revival, like, oh my God, this Looney Tunes thing. It was like 100 years ago, and it was so great. And maybe, but I just don't see that happen. And a lot of people don't understand how technical it is and hard it is to do those.
Oh yeah.
To really
That's
make
part
them
of it.
look nice, because usually people that got that stuff wanted it pretty small.
Yeah, they wanted it like this big on their inside of their ankle.
Yeah.
Or some weird spot that they thought
just
they could
tiny.
hide.
And what you don't realize, because you look at a cartoon character and it looks very simple, that's just simple, but it's really not.
No.
You got to get the shapes of the mouth and the nose and just right, or it looks like a knockoff.
Yeah, and that's it's like portraits to a degree, because people have a set idea of how
it's supposed to look.
Exactly.
And you can't deviate a lot from that, or it totally ruins the effect.
And on top of that, you've got these very noticeable and particular colors that people notice them. So you really have to try hard to really nail the color too. Yeah. And so they are kind of a technical thing,
Well, these days, the more simple and small and, quick arrow tattoos, lines, that stuff's some of the hardest stuff to tattoo.
It's the most stressful.
It's stressful as could be.
Because you're putting on
you're making a line and you're trying to keep that depth and that straightness of just this one line that you can only make one pass on, because if you hit it again, it gets wider, or it's
what the term I use is there's no hiding spots.
no, not at all. There's no shading, there's no coming back to it, there's no calligraphing it,
and you get one shot a lot of times. Like I would be more relaxed and it'd be easier to do a whole sleeve of whatever than to just do one circle as big as a dime.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because like I said, there's nowhere to hide.
Nope.
You can't kind of shade it out later or go back and sculpt it and not have to go and sculpt everything else. Yeah. And then even when you do go and sculpt everything else, if you go just a little bit, okay, then you got to sculpt it again. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that. But if you think like those arrows and stuff are simple at home, just take a ballpoint pen
and try to draw one.
Get a piece of paper, put it on your friend's arm or back, tell them to stay still, and then draw a perfect straight line and just draw a perfect arrow.
And if you don't have a friend available, try doing it on your cat or dog.
That's about right.
And there are some clients that are like cats and dogs.
Oh, boy, that move like you would think they would.
And they have no control over it for the most part.
Well, if you ask them, they don't.
Yeah, well, we try to give them the benefit of a doubt.
Yeah, every now and then I get it. I understand there are those little twitchers. But, man.
Yeah, someone can be bad.
I had somebody drive me up the wall with that. I was doing those
excuse me,
Chucky tattoos.
Yeah.
Chucky and Bride of Chucky. And, oh, my God, this guy... Every single time I'd go to pull a line or saturate something or do some shading, he would just start kind of trim or shake. Every single time, man. And that stresses the guy out.
Yeah, big time.
But I guess that's kind of off topic.
And back to the other thing, I think with simplistic tattoos, like your average Joe is going to look at it and go, that doesn't look that hard. Those are not really impressed with. It's more the people that are more in, the art and kind of know it a little bit more. The more hardcore people will go, wow, that's really incredible. The same thing with like stuff that's really heavily saturated. I don't think people really realize how much work that takes and how hard and difficult that is, especially really bright colors on areas that get the sun.
Yep.
So what's one of the trends you guys would like to see come back?
Not really sure.
I was kind of thinking about that, and one I definitely don't want to see
is
armbands.
Yeah, I don't miss them.
Talk about really hard that looks really simple.
Yeah, totally. And that's one of those, like, the more simple it is, the harder it is.
The worse it is.
Like when people want just one line going around perfectly around their arm or something, it's the same thing. It's not a perfect cylinder. It's like a Coke bottle, it's got all these
contorts and changes shape and
so
size.
You can't really stencil it a lot of times because if you have a cone like this and you've got a piece of flat paper and you start wrapping that flat paper around the cone, it's going to follow the flat surface of the cone and want to spiral down around. So it works a lot the same way with an armband. You start putting that flat piece of paper across the arm and it wants to follow that contour and miss each other. So they're just a real pain in the butt. And on top of that, it cuts your arm off. There's
if you ever want to add
there's
to
no
it,
way to blend one way or another.
Yeah, now you've got two sections of your arm, no matter what, really.
Yeah, and that's why when this was one of the first tattoos I did on this arm was I wanted the finish line.
Yeah, it goes one or two ways. Some people want this nice clean sleeve shirt kind of feel. And other people just kind of want it to trickle or fade off or something like that. But down on the bottom, no big deal. But that always bugged me, and I would tell people, like, are you planning on getting
more work later, because it's going to be really hard to add to this without making it look just abruptly stopped and start again.
And what I would tell them is, it's not a huge deal, but you
Until
just
you want
remember
a nice
So basically, you're creating a roadblock for the rest of your life.
And even if you do get a sleeve, like you come up with an idea to kind of fill this, and then you fill the upper shoulder, and then you still have this
thing that
break, that just chops it. So. I get the idea, it's fun to have like this band around your arm, but don't do it.
Yeah.
See, I think it would almost, if you did panels, like it was like that kind of makes sense.
What do you mean panels?
Well, like if you're doing like let's just, my mind works this way, comic books where you have like separate scenes that might kind of work, but in something that flows, it doesn't.
Yeah, well, right.
Well, I mean, there's ways to make that flow if you're going to, you can use different ideas about it. But when it's just like tribal or just a design that just, it's flat and it goes around, like it's a dam in the middle of the lake.
Right.
You just cut this part of the lake off from that part of the lake, and you can do whatever you want unless you cover it up. It's not going to be, it's not a big deal until you want one of them big, nice, flowy, sleeves that you see other people with. Well, that's no longer on the table for you right now. Like, you're limited.
It's just sitting there going, nope.
Yep, you're roadblocked.
You're done. Sorry, it either starts here or it starts there.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I mean. Like you're really, you're cutting off a couple exits on your trip here. Like you can't do that anymore now.
Right. Now you're limited.
But it was really common, especially in the 90s, to have it right just below where the T-shirt fell.
Just to peek out.
Right there, which is 3 primary places to get tattooed.
Mm-hmm.
Back
exactly.
arm, mid-arm, and then, forearm.
Yeah, now you have a little spot up above your armband, and you've got this weird little spot below your armband on the inside, and it kind of shot some people in the foot.
Okay, and speaking in that period of time and tribal and everything else that was going on, ass antlers.
Lower back tattoos.
I love those.
I do too. They're very accentuating for a lot of people's shape, women's shape, men's shape, whoever prefers it. But
I was so sad when those started getting a bad rep and they started calling them, these weird names and tramp stamps and stuff. And because then they almost dropped off overnight in a way.
Yeah.
It really went from, if a girl came in, 80% of the time it was on their lower back, and then it went to 0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is sad. Yeah. Because it is a sensual, nice, pretty spot where you can kind of flow and put some movement there. It's a really neat spot, but it just got totally hammered by people picking on it and calling it silly names.
It's almost like it shifted up to the rib cage.
Yeah,
which is a much more
delicate
and hard place to get tattooed.
And it's not as aesthetically pleasing, a lot of times. Or you need to get a lot bigger piece to really use. I mean that's a huge swath of skin, and unless a woman is getting, most of the rib cage or something that's continuing, it just kind of floats there.
Yeah, and with the lower back, because it's in that area, life changes.
Oh yeah.
Childbearing, etc., is not going to affect that tattoo.
It's a very stable, very stable spot of, it doesn't change a ton unless you put on or lose a ton.
Yeah.
So I would like to see those come back, man. They're a really fun spot to do a tattoo on.
And they look great.
Yeah, you like doing them too, huh?
Yeah, I like doing them, and I think they're very accentuating. I think they look nice. They complement the body very well. And
on top of that, it's a comfortable, relatively accessible, easy spot for a tattoo artist to work. The client can stay pretty stable because they could lean forward onto a chair, have something that they, can stable, and then we have a nice, relatively flat, non-gushy, stretchy spot where the skin stays pretty,
pretty taut,
pretty nice the whole time. So, yeah, come on, people, get your tramp stamps.
And it doesn't have to be this big, bold, and it might. No. And a lot of times, and it's an easy place to hide. So I think it's a good first tattoo for most females.
I think so too.
Yeah,
and dudes too.
If they prefer it. Yeah,
and basically, it doesn't have to be some bold black thing with a rose in this. You can do a lot of vine work in there. You can do a lot of stenciling.
Yeah,
a lot of framework, all kinds
filigree kind of stuff.
Make it real flowy, and
Yeah,
nice.
It's let's put some good vibes out. That the ass antlers will come back, but
see, and I considered the tramp stamp like the one little crappy tattoo right in the center of their back, right above the butt crack.
I guess
that was an entirely different thing though, and usually was this plan that I'm going to get the centerpiece and I'm going to add on to it. And a lot of them never added on to it.
Right. Yeah.
And it was kind of that way they could be at the bar and bend over and play pool, and just a little bit of it would peek out. Yeah. And everyone would know they were wild.
And back in the day, like that was a lot of people's, generally first tattoo or close to it. And after they got a good size tattoo in a good spot, good size area, that was kind of their first, like, do I want to really keep doing this or not? Like, oh, that's cool, but I've got enough, like, for some people. And some people would do them and come back, okay, now what can we add to it? Let's do this. And, they wanted to grow off of it. But
yeah, and it's a relatively easy spot to grow off of because you've got land all around it. You're not butted up against an armpit or something like that. So
I enjoyed those.
It's sad that one got blown out of the water. But maybe, I guess the ribs have replaced it, or maybe chandeliers, the booby chandeliers.
Those are cool.
Booby chandeliers.
Kind of changed that. And you know what? I bet if they came up with like a degrading word for those,
it would go over.
It would go away.
Yeah, more than likely.
Yeah.
I used to like when people would come up to you and go, "Oh man, I got a tattoo. Mine's on my ribs." I'm like, "Sweet, let's see it." And they got like a little kanji, like as big as a quarter or something. I'm like, that's cool, but like that's not really a rib tattoo. That's a scratch.
And see, generally when I think of tramp stamps, I think of the kanji that probably says,
strength,
sweet and sour pork. That's supposed to be strength or passion,
donkey lover,
family,
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was one that came and just completely vanished too. It was really hot for a while.
I don't miss those.
No?
No, I mean, they were easy to do, and I enjoyed doing them if you did them like brushstroke and all this different, textures to them. But I got so sick of, what does this say? Like, do you know it really says it? Are you sure? Can you guarantee it? Like, no, man, I don't speak Korean, Japanese, Chinese, whatever language we're doing. I don't read that. I don't write it, so I can't guarantee what it says. Do you have a friend that's Oriental? Ask them.
Well, we would use this book that we got. It was a red book, and it was it had you'd go in the back, had a glossary, you'd find chicken, and then you could it'd say on page to the this and this, there's a kanji for chicken. So you'd look, and one kanji would be like the actual chicken, and then another kanji would be like calling someone a chicken,
right?
Kind of things.
They have totally different meaning.
The same kanji can, depending on the context, I think can mean different things and all that.
That's like when people wanted to come in and write their name out in kanji, and I'm like, they don't have they don't have an alphabet. That's not how their language works.
That's the way they would get the way to get around having George's name on your neck was to get a kanji.
Exactly,
George,
because no one could read it anyway.
Yeah, no.
Do you remember that flash that Crow had though? That had the alphabet and then had just these just marks.
Just marks. Yeah.
So
tic-tac-toe.
And I did those and very
American Asian language,
I guess, and telling the people like these aren't anything.
These ain't real.
I wanted okay, but it only if someone has this sheet of flash are they going to have any idea what the heck you're trying to do.
Well, when I went to Japan, they got a kick out of writing my name on everything, and they wrote it all in Japanese, and it's like Jimmy is just two little kanjis.
Oh, two,
yeah, two little kanjis.
Yeah, there is really no kanji for Jimmy, just like there's not one for Jack.
Yeah, so I don't really know what they were calling me, Jimmy-san or whatever.
Yeah, that's why when you're, when someone's talking about you and like Chinese or whatever, it's going to be yabba, 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 Jimmy, yabba, 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 right? I mean,
usually,
it's a proper name. They don't usually have.
And human nature is to naturally assume they're talking crap about you.
Absolutely. It's like whispering,
It's like, they could be saying you're the most beautiful human they've ever known, but because you don't understand what's going on, your mind automatically goes, talking crap. Anyway.
Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff that I like to do, people still get occasionally.
I still get to do a lot of the stuff I love doing every day.
Yeah, and the trends change, like there was a big kanji or
tribal.
Like dragons. It seems like, I was doing a bunch of dragons. And then koi fish, it seemed like koi fish kind of had a little
and lotus blossoms. That was a huge one.
Lotus flowers,
But those are great.
Yeah. So I think it kind of, takes care of itself. About the time you're like kind of rolling your eyes and another one of these, people kind of move on to something else.
And I think part of it is like it's got to be something that catches people's imagination.
Yeah.
Then it turns into, well, that's the fashionable thing to do. There's like those two separate
Well, people
points.
see it and they're like, well, I want
Then
one
when
of
it
those.
becomes fashionable, then it's like, no. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
I think people like the owls. Owls got really popular. Well, I think it kind of came from Harry Potter because there was like an owl in there, maybe. But then it just seemed like owls were everywhere. So then we were doing a lot of owls. But it's weird. It's like this global consciousness kind of thing.
Well, back when we had the tattoo magazines, everywhere, somebody would get a really nice piece at a convention or a studio or something, like an eagle or an owl or a dragon, and a lot of people would see that and go, wow, man, like I never thought of that, but that would look really cool, and then they want one, and then you got this movement of people that all kind of have that same collective idea.
They get inspired.
They've been looking at the same art in the same magazines across the country.
Yeah.
And see, the internet does that now.
Oh, yeah, now it's the
much,
internet.
much faster.
Oh, it totally. Yeah.
But I'm wondering if it is starting to sell down where there's just like the certain people that follow certain people, that's their thing, and then
90% I see come in offline is off Pinterest.
well, yeah. Which that's the only use for Pinterest.
Nobody looks up their idea anymore or subject matter. They look up other people's tattoos.
Yeah.
Nobody, like, if I wanted a mountain scene of Mount Fuji, I wouldn't look up a tattoo of Mount Fuji.
No,
I would look up pictures of Mount Fuji.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is helpful sometimes for them to show you a tattoo that does utilizes the subject matter because, there's so many different styles of tattooing. It helps me see kind of what they're seeing in their head.
It does do.
So, but yeah, I guess it. Yeah, you're right. But I do get a lot of non-tattoo stuff. But I guess you're kind of right. But yeah, you can't
I like
have
it
too much
to see like what style they're interested in.
Yeah.
But don't come in with like somebody's praying hands and go, these are the ones I want. I want these exact ones. Like
Yeah, like this.
There's only so many ways you can do these.
Can you just photocopy this and put this on me?
So you're already getting the same thing as everybody else had, but like to want somebody to like copy something from somebody else sucks.
Yeah.
And then like you can't make a drawing and reference off of something that's going around a flat moved surface. Like you're not seeing all of the picture. You know what I mean?
And that's kind of sometimes hard too because the client will go, "Oh, I want it just like this." It's like, well, how do you know? You can't see the other half. It's like, so what are you seeing in your head? Where do you think that goes in your brain?
That happened to me with a Polynesian. A guy wanted a whole Polynesian sleeve, and it wasn't even a real sleeve. It was one of those made up on the internet, photoshopped. Like picture of this much of a model with just this much of his whole arm supposedly tattooed. And he's like, I want the same pattern, everything he has. And I'm like, well, what about all of this part of your arm? Well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I can't see it if the pattern changes or has a different direction or there's different stuff in it. Like, I have no idea because I can't see it. Neither can you. Well, how do you do that? I'm like, you let me draw the whole design so it flows and it's one piece instead of trying to steal one section of something and turn it into a whole piece.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. That's really the only way you can do that.
And that is one style that, it's kind of, it hasn't really been this huge explosion. I remember doing Polynesian years and years and years ago.
Mm-hmm. It stayed steady.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those somewhat staple kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge commitment for most people, I think, because you can't. You get smaller pieces, but they're generally fairly big pieces that take up a lot of real estate. So it's kind of a commitment. It's not something you just go, I want a Polynesian sleeve, and then you get it done.
Right.
It's a long process.
Yeah, it's like 30, 40 something hours or more.
You can't just get, you can, but really, getting a little Polynesian, that you can't really. It's got to have some movement going on. It's got to be flow. Like on a chest or it's got to move. So, yeah, you're right. It is. Yeah, you really do kind of have to, take a little bit bigger bite if you're starting off with something like that, maybe.
And speaking of other like cultures that have been have affected tattooing, Celtic, because it was like huge there for the longest period.
I still do.
That's a good one.
Like instead of more Celtic, now it's more Viking.
Yeah,
which is
Yeah, but it still has a lot of knotwork in it. Norse stuff is similar from that, and I think it's kind of evolved into that now because.
That's a good one. Yeah, the Celtic I really don't do hardly at all anymore, and I really like doing it. It's not so much the fun of actually tattooing it, but I think Celtic just looks so cool on the skin.
I got to do that big Celtic cross on that dude's arm with the Irish flag behind it.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Right. Yeah, I used to do a lot of Celtic, man. Like
it was
full
a
half
huge
sleeves
thing right there, and probably when you first started out.
Yeah, for a while.
Yeah, like Pat Fish. You know, she was real big into it. About all she did, or
I think
for
we
a
had,
while.
like when at the old Axiom, when I had tattoo artists work for me, that was like one of the things that I constantly had to go buy was Celtic
books,
books,
yeah,
reference books, because people are like, I want a Celtic armband or blah blah blah. Back to the armbands again, which were
now those are some of the worst. Oh my god,
yeah.
Trying to get that knot work to line up and go all the way around seamlessly when it has a start and a stop point, like
like I said, it's one of those things that if you don't tattoo, you really don't think about it.
Well, that's true too.
You know, but
that's true.
Yeah, it can be super challenging to get those to line up. So yeah, armbands can stay away.
Yeah, not a fan.
No, it's of
doing them.
Yeah.
Now I want an armband, just basically.
Jimmy's got some openings, I think.
I think Brent's open before me, though.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
These are the new armbands.
These are the new, these
oh, yeah,
kinda
those are
single,
even, I don't want to do even more.
Yeah, those are tricky. And like I said, imagine if you're lining either one of those top or bottom lines on the inside where that negative is, and you've got the tiniest little blip that goes up into that negative space.
Yep.
There's nothing you can do to hide it unless you make that whole band thick.
Yep.
Okay, so then you go
just
back
keep adding to it
to make it thicker.
And that looks stupid because the margin is wrong.
Or the client moves again.
Oh, yeah.
And there you go. So, you know, it's very technical. You know, there's no creativity. It's all how much like a machine can I be?
Right.
How much like a robot can I be? You know, I feel like, you know,
if they're going to make a robot to tattoo, that's the crap they need to be doing.
Oh, man.
And the thing about it is most people would consider this kind of a tribal thing, but it's more of a mechanical thing. So it's kind of like this weird.
Yeah. It looks cool.
It's abstract. That's basically what it is.
Yeah. It's kind of. What can I say? It's like it's something basically like, you know, when you put on how can I say this? It's not about the tattoo being interesting. It's about that tattoo making the arm look interesting.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because it obviously
it's an accessory.
It's just two black bands, so it's nothing to really look at other than it's where it is and how it sets, and you know, so it's kind of like more to enhance the body part necessarily than what it is.
And then if he did go to do additional sleeve work on there, it's going to get lost or whatever the hell. So it's not going to have the same statement or the same effect.
Yeah, unless you have a band at the bottom of your wrist and that you stop to, anywhere along your arm, you're just putting a big old river right through it, you know?
That it's not going to have that same effect.
Yeah.
Brent does a lot of those.
Oh, Brent does a lot.
God
good for
love
Brent.
Yeah, good.
A lot of people that want those, and he always has the first availability.
Yeah.
So Brent gets stuck with us because he has the first availability.
Sorry, Brent.
Hey,
Thank you, though.
Well, yeah, I think that's why he's there. That's one of the reasons why he's there, isn't it?
Yeah, something to be said for longevity.
He's the white tattoo master, too.
I definitely.
So I don't do those very much. I just didn't care for him.
Served my time on that stuff.
He doesn't?
Yeah. He doesn't do him either. He would have been here today, but he had some kid stuff going on.
His dad.
Oh, his dad.
Yeah,
and he was family oriented.
Yeah.
Anyway. I guess I should probably mention a couple piercing ones. I would like to see the Navel come back with full force again.
Yeah. That was a great piercing.
Not only because it, made me a lot of money, but I always felt that it looked really well in the human anatomy.
Yeah.
And yes, it can be a problematic piercing to heal. But it's an easy to hide, piercing, and it's really people. If you're willing to commit to something, it's going to heal.
Yeah.
Anatomy wise, most people have it.
Mm-hmm.
The other one I would say is tongue piercings. I would like to see them come back just because they're such a quick heal.
Yeah.
Your average person can do it fairly easy, and it's one of those piercings that it does have all its risks to enamel erosion and gum erosion, etc. But if you don't like it, you take it out. It heals up almost immediately.
Yeah,
it doesn't have all the other like scarring issues and so forth, and it's fairly easy to hide.
That's a good point. I mean, how many tongues this year do you think you've done?
Probably 30, 40.
Yeah.
Really?
When I used to do like hundreds of them.
Right.
Like it was usually the second or third piercing most people got.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's one I just kind of forgot about.
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah, the tongue was huge for a while.
That and belly buttons.
Yeah.
Navels.
Eyebrows are big for a while too. Remember that?
Yeah, and eyebrows, I think they look really good on certain people. It's definitely something you'd have to have the facial structure for it to look right. Ear piercings seem to be like the norm now. That's 90% of what we do, and it's really small jewelry and etc. And the biggest difference, I think, between a lot of ear piercings and what we did with like brows and navels, etc., and we were talking about, me and Jess were talking about this earlier, is when you look in the mirror after you get those piercings done, it's a finished product.
Yeah.
When you do ear piercing, especially very areas that are going to probably swell and be a pain in the ass and very difficult to heal, you usually have to oversize the jewelry so much. So you get kind of a, it looks kind of like I want it, but it's not exactly what I wanted. So it's kind of a big difference.
Yeah.
A lot of nitpicking.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that. True, but yeah, that, because you want your client to be as excited and love it as much as you can, and they're not gonna maybe understand going in that they're gonna have to wear a piece of jewelry that isn't as aesthetically pleasing, or one that they wouldn't want to wear forever, to give way for the healing.
Yeah, and you could tell them until you're blue in the face, and they won't. It doesn't register until you look in that mirror.
Yeah, that's something. I wouldn't have thought of.
Yeah. Well, I think we've done really well on this one.
Yeah.
We didn't talk negative, so mostly not negative. Hopefully we didn't offend anybody that has a tattoo that we made fun of.
I don't think we made fun.
I have a couple of tattoos that we could make fun of.
We'll maybe do that in the next episode. You'll have to tune in for that one.
Yeah, like the Daffy Duck on your left butt cheek.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, Elmer Fudd is after him. That's why he's running.
Yeah, I know.
And that's
Death Valley.
Don't ask where Bugs Bunny is, though. Don't ask where he is.
Down the rabbit hole we go.
Oh, shoot.
I'll never tell.
But you have been listening to or watching Q&A in the Kitchen. We post these roughly about every 2 weeks. We've been a little bit off lately because we're busy fellers. That's the way things work. If you enjoyed this, like this, what have you, give us a thumbs up wherever you're at or where you're listening to this. Also, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you're notified every single time we post something. Check out our merch store. Link is in the description. We have lots of different apparel and products, lots of different designs. And all of it goes to help us buy more equipment, which is one of my addictions. Till next time, here's hoping all your piercings and tattoos heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, we hope to see you for your tattooing and body piercing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for watching.
Be nice to each other.